Chapter 1. The First Separation Hook. The first time she left her body, nothing exploded. No angels, no tunnel of light. Just a vibration and the quiet realization that she was no longer inside herself. Rosalind McKnight did not approach this as a mystic seeking transcendence. She entered a controlled research environment at the Monroe Institute, an experimental setting using sound technologies designed to induce altered states of consciousness. The premise was radical but methodical. If consciousness could be shifted reliably, it could be studied. The early sessions were subtle: relaxation, hypnagogic imagery, body numbness. Then came the vibration state. She describes it as a full-body electrical hum, not painful, not emotional, but mechanical, as if the body were a device tuning to a different frequency. Many OBE researchers refer to this phase as the gateway threshold, where sensory detachment begins. Her breathing slowed. Her physical body felt distant, and then perspective changed. She was above herself, not metaphorically, not imaginatively. She perceived the physical room from an elevated vantage point. She observed her body lying still, and the experience felt hyperreal, sharper than normal waking perception. This is where the psychological tension begins. Was this dissociation, a lucid dream misinterpreted, a neurological hallucination, or genuine consciousness relocation? McKnight emphasizes one critical detail: clarity. Unlike dreams, which blur, distort, and morph unpredictably, this state possessed stability and continuity. She could think clearly. She could choose direction. She could observe without emotional noise. The fear barrier was immediate. Instinct screamed, return. Many first-time experiencers snap back due to panic. She resisted that impulse, not recklessly, but curiously. She leaned into the separation, and something changed. The sense of identity began to expand. Not ego inflation, but ego dilution. She felt less constrained by personality and memory. Awareness became more spacious, less localized. Here lies the core philosophical shock of Chapter 1. If awareness can detach from the nervous system, then consciousness may not be a byproduct of the brain, but something interfacing with it. The chapter closes not with a conclusion, but with destabilization. If the body is a vehicle, who is the driver? Chapter 2. Leaving the Earth frame the second time. She didn't just leave her body. She left the planet. After mastering the initial separation phase, McKnight began exploring movement in the non-physical state. Movement did not resemble walking or flying. It responded to intention. Think of a location, and you are there. But location did not behave geographically. It behaved vibrationally. She describes moving through layers, not spatial distances, but densities of awareness. The further she shifted from physical reference, the less Earth-like perception became. At first, she perceived environments resembling landscapes, terrains with color and form. Then these dissolved into abstract geometries, then into fields of light and structured energy. Earth, in this state, felt heavy, dense, slow. One pivotal moment, she perceived the planet from a non-local perspective, not as an astronaut looking down, but as awareness, outside spatial coordinates. The emotional reaction was not awe. It was detachment. Human life appeared brief, temporary, almost like an assignment. She began encountering presences, not humanoid beings, not angels with wings, but organized fields of intelligence. These entities did not introduce themselves with names. They radiated intentions. Communication occurred through direct data transfer. Concept, emotion, context, meaning all at once. There was no deception, no language barriers, no ambiguity. This introduces tension. If such intelligences exist, why is their presence not universally reported? Possible interpretations, archetypal constructs generated by the unconscious, autonomous intelligences in a broader consciousness field, neurological pattern recognition projecting form onto the unknown. McKnight does not claim certainty. She reports experience, and what she reports challenges materialist assumptions. Earth, she suggests, is not central. It is a layer. The chapter ends with a subtle dread. If Earth is only a frame, what exists outside the frame? Chapter 3. The guides. They did not demand worship. They did not offer salvation. They offered perspective. The guiding intelligences she encountered were neither authoritarian nor sentimental. They did not instruct through command, but through exposure. They showed. One experience stands out. She was guided through a review of human development, not historically, but evolutionarily. Consciousness, they implied, grows through compression. Earth is a hiddenacity training ground, emotionally intense, morally ambiguous, psychologically challenging. The guides revealed something more destabilizing. Continuity. She experienced fragments of awareness that felt older than her current lifetime. Not cinematic flashbacks, but identity residues. Roles once played. Lessons partially integrated. This raises critical frameworks. Literal reincarnation. Archetypal memory embedded in the collective unconscious access to informational fields beyond individual biography. From a psychological angle, such experiences may represent symbolic integration of unconscious material. From her lived perspective, they felt personal and factual. The guides presented existence as developmental, not punitive. Suffering was not framed as punishment. It was friction. Friction produces growth. This chapter does not romanticize pain. It reframes it, but that reframing introduces ethical tension. If life is educational, does that invalidate trauma? The narrative holds complexity. It neither dismisses suffering nor trivializes it. Instead, it suggests agency exists at a deeper layer of self, one that may choose incarnation parameters for evolutionary purposes. The episode ends with a chilling possibility. You may have chosen this life, and you may not remember choosing it. Chapter 4. Observing death, she watched consciousness detach from a dying body, and it did not disappear. One of the most controversial sections of Cosmic Journeys involves observations of death transition. In an out-of-body state, McKnight reports witnessing the moment a person's physical life ended. What she describes is not cinematic. No glowing halos, no dramatic ascension. Instead, a gradual loosening, energy concentration near the chest and head, confusion in the newly separated awareness. She describes newly disembodied consciousness as disoriented, not omniscient. Identity persists, personality persists, but perception shifts rapidly. Guiding presences assist in orientation. This mirrors thousands of near-death experience reports across cultures. Tunnel phenomena, meeting presences, life review reluctance to return skeptical interpretations. Hypoxia-induced hallucinations, endorphin release, brain shutdown artifacts. Yet the consistency of reports globally complicates dismissal. Emotionally, this chapter is human. Death is stripped of horror and framed as transition, but not trivialized. Fear exists. Attachment exists. The most profound takeaway: death is not annihilation, but relocation of awareness. Whether literal or symbolic, the psychological impact is immense. If consciousness continues, then life becomes preparation. Chapter 5: The Educational System of the Universe. What if pain is not punishment, but curriculum? And what if forgetting is not failure, but design? In her deeper excursions beyond physical awareness, McKnight encounters a recurring structural insight. Existence is developmental, not chaotic, not random, not morally punitive. Structured, the idea is not sentimental spirituality. It is systemic. Consciousness, in this model, evolves through contrast. Without resistance, growth plateaus. Without limitation, there is no differentiation. Without emotional intensity, there is no acceleration. She describes perceiving Earth as a compression chamber, a density zone, where awareness narrows dramatically, memory suppressed, identity constrained, perception filtered through biological machinery. Why? Because limitation produces friction, and friction produces refinement. She encounters the idea of pre-incarnational orientation, not in human language, but as energetic alignment. Units of awareness calibrating experiences that will challenge specific developmental gaps. This does not trivialize trauma. It complicates it. If suffering is part of growth, then the narrative of victimhood must be reframed, but carefully. There is danger here. Spiritual bypassing can invalidate lived pain. McKnight does not deny emotional intensity. She suggests it may have purpose beyond immediate perception. Earth, in this structure, is not a prison. It is a high-intensity school. Some environments in the cosmos may offer slow evolution, stable, harmonious, gradual. Earth is different. Emotional volatility is high. Moral ambiguity is constant. Identity fragmentation is common, which means growth velocity is extreme. From a psychological perspective, adversity accelerates individuation. Trauma forces identity restructuring. Existential crisis often precedes awakening. From her experiential perspective, this is not metaphor. We also confront the darker implication. If you chose your circumstances at a deeper level of awareness, then accountability extends beyond this lifetime. This chapter leaves viewers unsettled. If life is curriculum, what lesson keeps repeating? Chapter 6: Cosmic Identity. You are not your personality. You are not your history. You are not even your name. In one of her most destabilizing experiences, McKnight describes expanding beyond the boundaries of individual identity. The self did not disappear. It widened. She perceived what could only be described as oversoul structures, collective fields of awareness from which individual lifetimes emerge like temporary projections. The metaphor that fits best: light through a prism. One source, multiple beams. Each beam experiences itself as separate, yet all originate from the same field. In this expanded state, memory was not linear. Identity was not singular. Emotional tone shifted from reactive to panoramic. She sensed that her current personality was a narrow slice of a much broader continuity. This challenges the Western notion of self as isolated, autonomous, biologically bounded. Neuroscience describes ego as a network construct, a stable pattern generated by neural feedback loops. Altered states can temporarily dissolve this construct, producing ego-death experiences. But what if dissolution does not equal destruction? What if ego is an interface, not the operator? In her account, the larger identity is calm, detached, strategic. It values experience, not comfort. The human self values safety. The oversoul values expansion. The tension between these two perspectives may explain existential anxiety. At some level, the broader identity seeks growth that the human personality resists. This reframes midlife crisis, trauma, radical life changes. Perhaps they are not breakdowns, but recalibrations initiated by a deeper layer of consciousness. The episode ends with a confrontation. If you are part of something larger, what part are you playing? Chapter 7. Encounters with non-human intelligence. Not all intelligences care about humanity, and not all observers are benevolent. In certain explorations, McKnight describes encountering non-human intelligences that did not function as guides. These were not demonic, not hostile, but not nurturing. They observed Earth in these interactions, felt like a monitored environment, a developmental ecosystem under evaluation. Communication lacked emotional warmth. It felt analytical. The implication is disturbing. Humanity may not be central. We are one experiment among many. This intersects with UFO contact narratives, interdimensional hypotheses, simulation theory frameworks. From a psychological lens, such encounters could represent projections of internal archetypes. The detached observer, the cosmic evaluator. From her experience, they felt autonomous. The deeper philosophical layer here is humility. If consciousness is universal, then intelligence need not resemble us. Morality may not align with human values. Purpose may not prioritize our survival. She sensed that some intelligences operate on timescales incomprehensible to biological life. Millions of years as routine. Earth's drama, wars, politics, crises may appear as brief fluctuations in a larger evolutionary arc. The emotional impact is sobering. We are not alone, but not necessarily important. And yet, paradoxically, Our individual experience still matters within our developmental frame. This chapter leans into cosmic thriller territory, but remains grounded in inquiry. Are these autonomous entities, psychological constructs, encounters with collective intelligence fields? The ambiguity remains intact. Chapter 8. The structure of reality. Reality is not solid. It is layered. McKnight repeatedly describes reality as vibrational, structured by frequency rather than geography. Physical matter represents the slowest oscillation, dense, rigid, temporally bound. Non-physical realms appear less constrained by linear time. Movement responds to thought. Communication bypasses language. This aligns metaphorically with certain interpretations of quantum field theory, where particles are excitations of underlying fields. But she does not describe physics. She describes perception. In higher frequency states, identity softens, emotional reactivity decreases, information density increases. In lower frequency states, ego strengthens, duality intensifies, fear becomes dominant. Earth, she suggests, is a narrow band within a broader spectrum. Consider radio frequencies. A device tuned to one station cannot detect others, though they exist simultaneously. Human consciousness may function similarly, tuned to biological bandwidth. Meditative states, near-death experiences, OBEs, may represent temporary retuning. The implication is staggering. Physical reality may not be base reality. It may be interface. If so, materialism becomes incomplete, not invalid, but partial. This chapter emphasizes interpretive caution. Analogy is not proof. Experience is not empirical verification. Yet the pattern consistency across independent experiences raises questions science has not yet fully resolved. Have you ever wondered why we're here, in this messy, beautiful, chaotic world? I used to think the goal was to find comfort, to build a life that was easy and smooth. But what if that's not the point at all? What if we didn't come here to be comfortable, but to become precise? Think about it. We go from this infinite, boundless awareness to being contained in these fragile biological bodies. It's a deliberate act of narrowing, of focusing of the lens. Why would we do that? Because it's in this constrained space that our choices truly matter. When everything is on the line, when there's real risk, that's when growth stops being a theory and starts being real. Imagine if you remembered everything from before you were born. Your morality would be a given, not a choice. But here on Earth, we forget. This forgetting, combined with the intense emotions, the moral gray areas, and the constant pressure of our own mortality, creates the perfect environment for us to forge our identity. Every decision we make, every challenge we face, helps to crystallize who we are. It's like we volunteered for this high-density experience because it's a spiritual accelerator. High pain, yes, but also incredibly high growth. This completely changes how you can look at fear. Instead of something to run from, fear becomes a signpost, pointing directly to the edge of your comfort zone, to where your expansion is waiting. Trauma, in this light, isn't just a wound. It's a crossroads, a powerful moment for a profound choice. Now, This doesn't mean we consciously choose every hardship we face as our human selves. Of course not. But on a soul level, these challenges might just align with our deeper objectives for growth. I'm not trying to romanticize suffering. This is about understanding the structure of our experience. We often resist this growth because our ego's primary job is to keep things the same, to preserve what it knows. It craves safety, not transformation. But incarnation is a high-stakes game where transformation is the only way forward. The real challenge is to remember our bigger purpose without trying to escape the human experience. To live fully, to feel everything, but to not get so lost in the role that we forget we're the actor. It's a delicate balance, but it might just be the whole point. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button for more explorations into the big questions. So, you've touched the very architecture of reality, glimpsed the cosmic machinery, and then the alarm clock rings. It's time to go to work. This is perhaps the most human and most crucial part of the journey. After experiencing such expanded states of consciousness, returning to the physical body can feel compressive. The body feels heavy. Time seems to crawl, and your emotions are suddenly cranked up to full volume. But here's the critical point, something often missed. The purpose of all this exploration isn't to escape, it's to integrate. Leaving your body isn't the final goal of enlightenment. It's about gaining a new perspective to bring back with you. Think about it. If consciousness truly survives death, then this life, right now, gains an incredible weight, a new gravity. Every action you take sends ripples out, far beyond this single lifetime. If your identity is more than just this one personality, this one story, then holding onto grudges becomes, well, inefficient. Forgiveness isn't just a nice idea. It becomes the most rational choice. And if this life on Earth is a kind of curriculum, a school for the soul, then your participation is the whole point. Showing up, engaging, learning the lessons, that's what matters. This is a warning against the obsession with transcendence. So many seekers get lost, trying to permanently leave their physical lives through dissociation or pure escapism. But that's a profound misunderstanding. Our embodiment, being here in this body, is intentional. It's part of the design. The ultimate test isn't about how far you can travel outside your body, but how consciously you can live within it. It's not about cosmic fireworks, but about grounded, day-to-day accountability. So, the real question becomes, if you know you are more than just this body, how will you act tomorrow? When you wake up, will you choose growth, even when it's uncomfortable? Or will you retreat back into what's easy and familiar? According to these experiences, the answer you choose echoes far, far beyond this one life. What will your answer be? Thanks for watching, and if this resonated, consider subscribing for more.